Welcome to the StockMentor.com studios here in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your stock mentor, Brian Johnson. And we had an update today. So the market's consolidated. They moved sideways a couple of days. Said I wouldn't be surprised if we saw one more day of consolidation. Today we got actually a playable move, albeit kind of difficult. But a playable move if you got in after about, I don't know, about the first 30 minutes of the day. I guess there was an opportunity to make a little bit of money there in the markets. There were some individual stocks that moved pretty nicely and made things made for some pretty easy trading. But as you can see, up 1.4% or so in the Dow, up about the same in the S&P and the Nasdaq, way up today, over 2% in the Nasdaq, so very strong showing there. Now we have the gap up, a move sideways. Tuesday goes up a little bit, comes down a little bit, moves sideways. The area to beat was intraday trading, this overhead area here. If you were day trading, what was it? It was the 50-day moving average, and we got it. Right towards the end of the day, we managed to push up and over that 50-day moving average, putting things back in somewhat of a bullish atmosphere here. Gonna have to have the bulls hold that for a couple of days to really convince me that the move's for real, but so far so good. Looking at this for our next overhead resistance area. The 10,976, I've been looking at that 10,950 area, so I'm still putting it overhead resistance on the Dow right in between 10,950 and 10,975. I probably would not be interested in any kind of a long trade on the Dow up and above 11,000. That would where I'd be watching closely for your overhead resistance. To the downside, we get a break back below the 50-day. That might give you an intraday shorting opportunity. Otherwise, if you want to hold, make sure it gets back below this 10,700-ish area before really looking for more bearish action in the markets. Nasdaq on a 60-minute. Look at that. Nice move up today for the bulls, coming right into and getting close to overhead resistance. This area here at about the 1990 area would be your area between 1990 and 2000 for overhead resistance in the short term. The daily coming up on the 20-day moving average, as well as that 2000 mark. Now the 2000 mark was my area to get short. That was kind of where the neckline of this head and shoulders pattern was that was forming. We got a break of that, played that down nicely for some profits there. Now as we come back up on top of it, want to be very careful to be sure that it does get up and over that. I would certainly expect that area to hold. If there's a quick rush through it, I'll tell you what, bulls could be back in business here. Very, very volatile markets with these high moves, both down and now back up, especially after Monday. Big move up, consolidation. Now another move up today. Nasdaq could be leading the way here for the next couple days. From a weekly standpoint, trying to push its way back up and over this overhead resistance and this blue. Now we're coming into Thursday, Friday. This is where it gets tight. This is where we really want to be watching closely to see if it can actually close back above these levels. That would be a big victory for the bulls if they could get themselves back up and over this area sometime either this week or end of next week. SPX on a 60-minute also dribbling its way up, but right back into this 1175, 1180-ish area. That was my area to get short. Remember on the way down, 1178, 1175, get short. Played that down nicely for some profits. Then on the way back up, huge gap here. That was, if you were bearish, I was. I still had part of a position open. My subscribers have known when I've been getting in, when I've been getting out. I was still short a position on that Monday gap up. I had taken some profits, but not all, and had to get out in this area here, knowing that any consolidation would be bullish for the markets and push our way back up, as we've seen over the last, well, basically day on the S&P. So coming right back into this overhead resistance, really watching this blue line closely, along with this overhead resistance. It's all between 1175 and 1180. From a daily standpoint, looking the same way. Look, we have the 50-day, which we're fighting with still on the S&P. That has not been broken or closed above. Any push above it, I think I'm looking at the 1185 mark for my next more major level of overhead resistance. That would coincide very nicely with the previous neckline in and or around the 1180 area. So be watching these areas very closely on the way back up if you are long the market. From a weekly standpoint, also looking to see if we get up and over. Notice how this is obviously, as it has been, a little bit weaker than the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ has not been giving us any kind of indication here, long or short, from the weekly standpoint. And you can see that it's the NASDAQ is definitely fighting with this blue line now, where the S&P has a little ways to go. It's going to have to get up and above this 1200 before it has a shot. But a retest of it, certainly not out of the question over the next couple of weeks. VIX on a daily, also coming back down a little bit today, so here we have another drop in the VIX after a huge spike up. Big move up, starting to work our way back down. Looking to see any further move up in the markets probably brings that VIX down here towards this 2350 area, which is this lower support line. So the VIX, big move up. Thought it was a little bit overextended. Wondered if we would get any more push to the upside. Obviously squelched immediately by the bailout of Greece over the weekend. VIX right back down again. Apple on a 60-minute, up $5.57 today. Most of it on a little bit of a gap up here. Had to look for a move up and over 260 if you really wanted an intraday entry on that. You can see where it was fighting with the 20-day yesterday, but no problems as long as it gaps. Very, very popular to see a gap over any kind of major overhead resistance. Just gap up and over it. That fixes the problem very quickly. So any push above 260 gave you a move to the upside. Now anything above 265 is probably your next more conservative long entry on Apple. Weekly, still holding this blue line. We'll be watching that as well over the next couple weeks to see if that will hold in the longer term. FAS on a 60-minute was only up $1 today. That's really nothing in the grand scheme of things. You can see a gap up, move down, move up, really nowhere. No trading still within FAS. However, I will point out the fact that this bullish type flag we've been watching has now got the price back in it. So now price has come all the way back into this bull flag, kind of puts that formation back on the table, and definitely something we want to be watching. If this FAS takes off on any kind of whatever it might be, good news or whatever, watching for a break up and over at this point 35 for a what I think will turn into a very good long trade, and for you swing traders, if you'll buy and hold for a while. FAZ on a 60-minute, down 45 cents today, but holding with the 200 period moving average. So still not much to trade in here if you're looking at these for longer term trades. Look how it held this $12 area nicely. That's this blue line, the 20-day, and the lower support here. Still looking for a breakdown and below $12 for a more meaningful short position in FAZ. That'll do it for today. We had a little bit of this push up here, guys. Now we still have some areas to chew through, giving you opportunities more from an intraday standpoint than from a swing trader standpoint at this juncture. So if you're a swing trader, I would be telling you to be a little bit more cautious with your trades. Make sure it breaks a lot of these levels before you go jumping in. Otherwise, let's see if we get a push up and over this right away, or if it hits these overhead levels, maybe starts to come back down, and then from there it's anybody's guess. Do we make a lower low? Do we stop down here in the 10,600, 10,500, roll around? Just have to wait and see. We're just shooting to get the right direction right, and right now I think we're in kind of some chop mode here. So you're going to want to take profits. You're going to want to take profits early. All right, let's see how we finish up tomorrow, and I'll be back with another video then. Bye.